This will be used for more MK Ultra proofs. I want to use this to submit this to police, investigators, maybe human rights activists at the United Nations. If there's any sober people there willing to perform their jobs, maybe in Strasbourg at European Court for Human Rights, according to job specifications, maybe a law, statute. I don't know. I don't want to go into the treatise, whatever. This was recorded on June the 15th of 2022 during my visit to the father at the General Hospital in Novo Mesto. People meet me everywhere. I am not referring this to a stalking. I'm referring this to assistance. This is performed by police, which God knows what for needs more and more proofs. Somebody's buying time somewhere, obviously, and I am very expensive. I'm paying for it big time. I'm 50 now. You know, you're watching somebody 50 years old who was subjected to MK Ultra torture for no less than 26 years. But I lost 28 years of life on what you see here right now. Today is June the 20th of 2022, however, and just as I stated, I'm referring to the audio which I am demonstrating you here as 104. We go. Date about this audio, you can see here June 2022, whatever. It's right here. I'm gonna start this audio.
V bolnici si lahko hitro. V bolnici si lahko tako, da greš v frižider, ga odpreš, namesto da boš mu probal ne smeš misliti, koga drug mislijo in tako naprej. Ker mama misli, že jutra.
This again, this was recorded at a General Hospital Novo Mesto. June 15. I go to June 15. This was Wednesday. That's this Wednesday was recorded. This here would be the location. Basically, inside of this building you can actually even see, but that's pretty much as close as to description I can get. This is a building where I would go to report myself also to a local psychiatrists, and because Slovenian government, which covered up crime for Serbia and Republika Srpska in Bosnia and Herzegovina, would not recognize torture as torture, but have acknowledged torture as mental illness, labeled me with a paranoid schizophrenia rather than to come out clean. Between years 1995 and August of 2006, I have never exited United States of America with exception to Ecuador that is located in South America, where my ex-wife was from, uh, on two occasions. Never, obviously, I was inside of the Europe. Yet the people that you're about to hear me conversing with during it was the end of the visit to my father are located from this place here. This is Gabrovka. This is also the only factory that ever was in Gabrovka. It's a small place, and this is where this lady was a cook, I think, for her entire life, basically. I was brought here since 1995 to this Gabrovka city. What I am gonna do, I'm gonna demonstrate to you where exactly this is, so that you can have a proper okay, it's okay. Idea about. There is more locations within a Gabrovka, but this one is close to the city known as Litia. And so this here, this is the place. This is a location here. It's not close, so close to Novo Mesto. It's somewhere, if you would go map-wise, between Novo Mesto and Ljubljana. It spans somewhere in the middle. And if you would take directions, it would look something like this. Not very likely we would ever possibly meet. We know each other since very early on. This man was involved, his family they were involved straight into this case, probably I estimate since sometimes like 97, maybe even earlier. Brought from United States of America by Central Intelligence Agency for MK Ultra purposes, for American geopolitical, Western European geopolitical, if you want to call this appetites, whatever it is. These days I kind of feel not too bad about it, because the situation in Ukraine, it kind of makes sense to me. It didn't make me any sense before, but now with all this stuff we see in the Eastern Europe is taking place, it started to make me sense. To a certain degree. Yes, I did lost 28 years in this stuff. So I demonstrated to you something I'm gonna get to in a little bit. And now what I want to do is I just want to go to the audio recording and start translating it to you. June 15 on Wednesday, therefore, of 2022. Just update wise, I'm trying to get my father home. Trying to do everything possible to get him home. And that's why I would like to become father's killer. That means I would take care of him to degree till he would, and beyond, rehabilitate himself into a healthy, normal person again. And so I had a conversation with a father, due to goals required me to explain one, is the only way for me to go about this stuff on how I see this as. Right, so that's all. I say thank you very much, goodbye at the General Hospital and the Department for Neurology, and I exit this third floor toward the elevators. Right. right before the elevators, I meet interesting gentleman right there. I already know there's somebody like this who's involved.
Ja, lepo vas je videti. Ja. Ja, dve rožice.
But these nurses were involved in MK Ultra for quite some time.
Prosim. Ja. Ja, zato sem videl, da so kar dosti podobna. Drugak ima tudi spet eno taki klub. Prosim. Drugak ima tudi spet eno taki.
The gentleman tells me that my backpack is open. We meet at the elevator. So this is the gentleman I'm gonna translate you about.
Ja, sigurno veš, da pač hvala. Se je tudi mene to moje opozarja. Ja? Ja, zato sem videl, da so kar dosti podobna. Ja.
By the way, his name is Milos.
Zdaj je pa šel. Ja. Še nekaj razmišljate? Ja, vas se probam spomniti. A ja? Ne vem. Ne, saj vi imate že...
He's asked me. I tell him, I'm thinking, and he's asking me, what are you thinking about? And I say, I'm trying to recall you, where you would fit in. I just go straight to the matter, basically. So his family was involved in MK Ultra. Whenever they would bring me to this place, to this Gabrovka, they would update me with their lives, and they wouldn't even touch issues around, because all kinds of stuff. These people depended heavily on a goodwill of Milan Kucan, of Borut Pahor, Danilo Turk, basically as the Social Democrats, previously known as a communist party of Yugoslavia. You want to say this leftists, whatever, they have abused their status, a well-being of these people in this Gabrovka, to the degree that a population had to comply with to a certain degree with a crime against me. There was just no other way. Otherwise, if they wouldn't cooperate on that issue, they wouldn't receive state funds, they wouldn't have jobs, basically. It's a somewhat secluded place. It's a very beautiful place, but secluded. And that was the kind of stuff, just the perfect kind of stuff, these people who wanted to create a big Serbia here in Slovenia as well. Slovenia separated from big Serbia, previously also known as Yugoslavia, in the year 91. So there was just no way to avoid any of it.
Ja, verjetno, da prvič, ko smo se srečali, da enega, ja ne, žensko ste že imel 2008.
I'm really confused. It's very difficult. Imagine to be involved in MK Ultra, used as a MK Ultra subject, and you just meet person somewhere in the street, and you start talking to one about, I stated to him, you already had your lady in 2008, yeah? So you're talking about right now what I did. I went 14 years back in time, and I told this young man, you had your lady already in 2014. He says to me, he's looking at me and he says, that probably is true. I told him, and you do have a house, you have a home. So I pointed out the year already as 2008 that he had this relationship with a future wife, home, and now I'm saying to him, now I'm gonna tell you where this was, where you're part where you're from, and this is very difficult. I tell him this is very, very problematic right now. Where I would locate you, this is impossible basically to tell because it could be anywhere. You know, this is just very, very impossible stuff. I tell him I think this is somewhere in the Novo Mesto towards Žabjevas where Hofer is. Because on the picture I have this house. And that's just not the case, basically. He says,
Ne vem, ali sem se te zmotil. Ja, mislite, da sem bil malo tako. Definitivno. Ne vem. Moral vedeti vse, tudi kje delate, vse bi moral to.
I told him I should know absolutely everything about you, where you're from, all this stuff, where you work, all this stuff. I should know all this about you because this guy drilled me a lot. I got a good feeling about this guy immediately because you talk to the person and you know exactly what, more or less. Now you don't. It's not necessary. That's very, very wrong what I stated. It depends what comes to you as first. But this guy was a really good guy who got in trouble because of me, not because of me, but basically because what Milan Kucan, Borut Pahor, the social democrats, the so-called the leftists, they call themselves like a communist. They don't have nothing to do with it, nothing common with a communism. They are a Chetnik people. This is a support for the greatest Serbia they would like to create here in Slovenia. That's all there is. There is no such thing as communist Yugoslavia and this and that. Come on. Yugoslavia ended up with a war against 5 different nations. That was a federation of republics. One state had war with 5 other nations. Obviously, that was a state that was a problem because of which the country had fallen apart, right? That was a Serbia which believed the whole territory, therefore all other republics are just going to be used like a colony, are just going to be used for exploitation, basically, to enlarge their imperialistic views, hiding themselves behind the red star, basically communist star or something like this. Just like we see Russia today is trying to do the same thing with Ukraine. He tells me I'm from Gabrovka, you know, and I'm confused because Gabrovka, it's a mistake. This is Gabrovka here, but there is a Gabr here, right next to it. And so this place here completely was involved also in MK Ultra, and it's right next to it. Yeah. So Gabrovka and it could be confusing. Veliki Gabr, Gabrovka, who the hell knows? This is a small village is, man. This is a small village is. In this village, this is like... Y'all, what this is? This Gabrovka, this is all like a little mountains, like a little hills. It's all hills and forest. Yeah, it's not really just so that you would just go sit in the car and just da-da-da-da-dum. It can be trickery, okay? In real time, I never ever in my life was in Gabrovka yet. I never went on my own to Gabrovka, but I was brought in every one of all these little cities that you see. I was brought for MK Ultra all over Slovenia. And I was in Holland in many places, in many locations, and in Germany and so on. And so, you know, I have a little difficulty to know where this man is, what is the Gabrovka and what is Veliki Gaber, which are quite close actually. Here is indicating like a 10 kilometer something distance between the two, but I have a difficulty because I don't live there. I live here in the city of the Novo Mesto, down south. Here's where I live. So this is not just for me. Hello, this is it. It's not like this, man. And he tells me between the Litia and between the Trebnje, I know where the Trebnje is. I'm here already lost with the Litia, in a way. Because it's not the I'm being lost in Litia. What happens is all of a sudden you open like a lot of issues, right? Who is this guy? What is this? Where is he working? What's this? What's that? And then you have a Gabrovka, and then you have a Veliki Gaber, which already sounds almost the same. And now he's talking about another location right there, and there is a whole bunch of other locations. Now, it can be tricky. This stuff. This is not easy. This is not easy stuff to do it like this. People also have a great expectations. I'm sorry, but this is a miracle actually. If you think this is easy, what can I say? You're fucking crazy. There are three types of drugs of MK Ultra. One drug, when you're stoned, it used to be like this. Your brain squeak almost from the pain. You feel like everything inside is squeaking from the pain. It's like the hardest drug of MK Ultra. You can barely fucking follow anything. You can actually only follow if somebody does like this to you. And you're like, you get enough to see whatever. You understand? Then there is a second drug that is less potent, that in my case already was rated as illegal because I was rated as intelligent and as such dangerous. They would not want to use that stuff. And it's a drug that allows you to somewhat function. You are still like this, and you're still directed to catch attention so that you can relate to something, function. It is not as hard as the other one, because the other one is just like almost like this. You can have your eyes are open, but inside the mind is where everything is decided. And inside the mind, about with the strongest drug, MK Ultra, it's all the time you basically all the time it disappearing. And for you, when you try to use your brain and stuff, it's painful. It's like you would try to push. It's like friction. Yeah, you understand? Friction. You almost feel like a friction. That kind of drug was either eased up or removed through and through. I don't know. Maybe sometimes finally in 2001 or something like this was only used further in Slovenia. At times also in Germany, if they wanted to be really bad with me. And they told me like this. And other parts of the world as well. One was used, especially like in Russia and stuff, like in Eastern Europe, where they wanted to punish and hurt as much as possible, Serbia and so on. And it was that light drug that almost never ever was used because that was a prohibited MK Ultra drug. That was just a little subtle difference between being drugged up and have ability to completely take control over the situation. Still, you couldn't. But it felt almost like you were not on drugs. and they use that for stressful situations. To British used only that drug. That was the drug that was exclusively used by the British. London, just whenever it was time to cause trauma involving lice scenarios, crazy scenarios that would leave you completely traumatized for some time, they would, on few occasions only, use that one. That was a prohibited completely drug for other reasons, because it was too easy on physically on body, too easy drug. These drugs also have had deadly side effects, and so I was left consequently with a very low heartbeat and also blood pressure issues, for which it really angered me lately when I used Slovenian health services, physicians involved with nurses stated me in the face did not know why. And it's something I also consider as a heavy bullying. You go and you fuck somebody health up, you destroy him with the drugs, you destroy his physically his health, and you're involved in it, and you're saying that you don't know why the person has a low heartbeat, low blood pressure, actually asking one if that's irregular, normal. How the fuck is that normal and regular? Don't you measure your own heartbeat rate and blood pressure issues so that you will know what normal is and what is not normal? That did happen to me during the last visit here in the hospital in Novo Mesto, but I did not react to this kind of provocations. Let's go back to this audio and let's continue with this. I am trying to figure out where's this Litia, this Trebnia. You can hear the sirens too, right? You hear the sirens behind you? Okay, I'm not pointing out good here. I'm thinking...
On ima avtobuse. Ni toliko kamionov, ki nimajo ni Gabrovka pri Zagorcu, ampak to je Gabrovka pri Litiji v bistvu. Čakaj, Litija, ki je pa tudi zdaj, ki je pa... Se pravi, Ljubljana... Ti pa tam, ki je proti Zidan most, pa bi jaz. A je več Gabrovke. Ja, ena Gabrovka je še pri Zagorcu, tam pa Žužemberku. Ja. Vse je res. Bog vedi, koliko jih je v resnici. Ja, no, ampak tako ne. Tako kot Cerovcev, ne.
I am not clear exactly where this is, but I know that Litia is very close to where I did go to purchase the car. Where exactly his Gabrovka would be, where that would be, it's coming to me very, very difficult, with a difficulty. I have no idea at this point exactly where this place would be, but we continue the conversation. So I just want you to know how easy this is. This is as easy as I tie you up your eyes and I bring you to the certain village location you have never been to and you will never go to. And drugged up as you are, the only time you're gonna understand what goes on is when I will obtain your attention by triggering something in you that will caught your attention, whatever that might be. And based on that stuff, and soon, after I'm done with you, you're just going to go back to your status. It's like you put a car in a neutral gear. And you will walk, you will do shit, but you will not, only if I trigger your attention enough to bring you back from subconscious. You understand? And when I present you the stuff, you're still going to be in subconscious state of mind. So this is no easy fucking way to just go and say, oh, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. It's not easy. It's not an easy way. All right, so... To me, it's not completely clear, basically, right now, what that would be. And I just want to go back. I pointed out that he met his wife in 2008 already, and that it's about the house. And I have no idea. Okay, I'm still actually what he's talking to me right now. I'm not paying attention much. You know what I'm doing right now? I'm browsing right now. I'm trying to get an idea where he worked. What is he by profession? About his sisters, brothers, that kind of stuff, children. I'm not actually this stuff that we're talking about won't make no difference to me. And everybody gonna see, anyways. Uh, and you know, it just doesn't matter. Just this conversation go on while I'm browsing my head completely other stuff. So try to feel like you're in my skin right now. That's a man right there who was involved, and you have few minutes to.
Z mamo nekam tamo govori, pa so bili spet cerovci in vsi ti ki jih imamo tudi tam na kraju. Aha. Ampak tu se probam spomniti. Ja, in tu ste vi, ste pol. Ja, tu je, tako je to, da rekel bi, da imate brata ali sestra, 100% da imate, ampak skoraj da bi rekel, da imate oba, da imate brata in sestra. Sestrica imam. Samo sestrica imam.
I tell the man like this. I tell him like this. I could say that you do have a brother and sister, both of you, because I feel that you have a brother and sister. I know that you have either brother or sister. I could even say that you have a both brother and sister. He says he has a sister. Well, I can tell you today that's a very beautiful sister, and she's younger than what he is, for one thing. And this is a young man, but she's younger. I did not point it out. I want another credit for it. His name is Milos. His mother was a cook her entire life in this company over there in Gabrovka, and I want another credit for it. Even if I have to go to Gabrovka, his sister is younger than what he is. He tells me I have a sister, okay? So I knew that he had either brother or sister. There was more people involved in it. Uh, he's not by himself though, but I pointed out that he has either brother or sister, I stated, or maybe even both. So he says, I have a sister. So I'm also saying the sister is younger.
Pol, kaj bi še lahko povedal? Veste, res, no, se pravi,
I'm saying, what else can I come up with?
glede dela, se malo tule spomnimo. Tole bo pa težko. Na podlagi česa pa vi to ugotavljate? Ja, na podlagi poznanstva bivšega.
He says, based on what are you coming to these conclusions? How do you recall all this? And I said, based on our friendship.
Ja. Ja.
And he says, yes.
Ja. So resno kar dosti daleč narazen?
He says, but we do live quite considerable distance between one another. With a car, you need about 35 kilometers distance. Well, we were talking about like 20 something miles in American units plus. And yeah, this is not, you have to,
Zelo daleč narazen, ampak se
it would have been impossible if you would know each other.
spomnim, da vi ste bil eden najbolj takih.
Yeah, this guy was very nice with me. This guy was extremely, extremely nice with me. I am happy that he met me, not only because he would meet me or whatever, but because he was nice with me. This was a very nice person. I think it was a whole bunch of other people that wanted to be nice with me. I think this place, Gabrovka, wanted to be nice with me, like everywhere else, but people didn't have the right to be nice with me. You just didn't have it. If you wanted a loan, a discount on your real estate or whatever, a job, you're not allowed to be nice with me. They demanded video recordings, proofs on the telephones to be submitted to see whether you qualify for job, for loan, for a discount at the local store or whatever, real estate. Otherwise, I don't know, like to say, Miami Vice, nothing. He says, what is the birth of your year? I told him you were more like from part of the people, human beings that were more like humane.
Takih normalnih периодов. Если бы результат мехат, нормально шел, и хвата помагат предвсем. Velik ljudi je pa pizzarije delali gazda. Vi niste bil, vi ne vem sploh, če ste kadarkoli tega niti sploh. Nije so tisti, ki so pizzarije delali.
This guy really didn't profit anything from this case. This guy, I don't think this guy ever profited. Maybe his mom did or something or whatever, but this guy didn't. This guy had a trouble only, I think. This job that he got, a second job, he got in trouble because of me at first job. He was just a person that was a humane, soft person, and that's how he is also with the clients, with everybody, with the family, with everybody. And so you can't categorize unless you want to screw somebody. If that person declines to engage in violence against another person, you cannot label somebody as politically oriented if the person is simply declining violence as the way to go. And this guy did. This guy declined violence as the way to go about. And he had a problem with these people. They caused him problems.
Tu da se probam spomniti. Jaz sem 71-letnik.
And he told me I'm 75, he says. Okay, so that's 4 years younger. That's like 46, but really looks young. I don't look that old, but this one looks young.
Dolg cajt nazaj. Ni da se že poznala dolgo časa nazaj. Zdaj se probam tako spomniti.
Ja, lahko malo povem, kje se gibljamo v življenju.
Ni treba nič reči.
Ne?
Doma vem tam, ko ste, tam je bila hiša, da te spomniš na staršev.
He wanted to give me assistance, yeah? He wants to give me assistance, but I don't want any assistance. I got into this pattern, and I think I'm capable to pull the information out, recall all the information necessary. Here I tell them where you're from. You also had a parents in this house, you know.
Zelo-faced
He says yes, I think at least.
staršev. Zelo-faced. Tam ste tudi hišo, tu se tudi spomnim, da se tudi iz hiše. Ampak zdaj, da se malo tole, tu, ki ste rekel, kje se gibljate, tu je pa tisto, ki je pa, kar se reče, triki. Tu je pa triki, zaradi tega je triki, ki jaz sem vedno mislil, da ste vi, da imate 3-letno, pa da ste nekje tle v Adriji, nekje tam proti Straži, oziroma tam proti Bršljinu, v tisto smer. Ne?
I told him it's tricky when he mentioned to me where my whereabouts are. I can tell you about my whereabouts, and so it's going to be easier for you to point out. And I told him, you know, I always was sure that you had a 3-year education and that you are located somewhere towards Straža location, toward Bršljin.
Kje se gibljate, tu je
Žabja Vas, it's completely the opposite direction. I made a mistake because of this image about the house I had, and you know, it was just this here that popped up to me as next, Bršljin, Straža, toward this direction.
Kar se reče, triki. Tu je pa triki, zaradi tega je triki, ki jaz sem vedno mislil, da ste vi, da imate 3-letno, pa da ste nekje tle v Adriji, nekje tam proti Straži, oziroma tam proti Bršljinu, v tisto smer.
I told him I always was sure that you live in this, that you have a 3 year education, you know, something like a mechanic, something like this, uh, and that you live here in this area here. Where is it? Adria. Yeah, that you're doing this kind of stuff, which is actually quite very good. If I only would not change at least his profession and his uh, this stuff that you're gonna see, this is what they fabricate. Now, that's not the way his employer is, but he is in something like this, similar to this, and it would be his education too. But
Ne,
Ampak ni bilo to je bilo tisto, kar ni bilo to. Ne?
bil sem po vojski tam.
Ja, ampak
he says I was in the military over there. He was in the military here in this area in Berlin.
je pa ena druga stvar. Vi imate
I say to him, no, it's not. I'm trying to point out, I'm trying to recall all these memories. I said, please wait.
nekaj drugega. Vi ste zaključili eno, kakor se jaz spomnim, imate in srednjo šolo in pa ste nekaj delal z enim privatnikom, nekaj, v bistvu to neko nadgrajeno znanje je bilo.
Here is what it is. This is the in my head now. This employer here. This guy here. This guy is upgraded. This guy upgraded big time. This is what his first employer used to look like this. The building where he used to work was like this. Let me explain. We're gonna do it like this. We're gonna go like this, like that. This is somewhere in Ljubljana. And it's like this, look. I found this on the internet that somewhat more than not fits the description of his previous employer building. Very, very specific building. Gray color. Incredibly specific building, because you can go upstairs. Well, now you can go, but the employer added, I didn't do this too damn good, like elevator stuff. It almost looked like a shipping container building, but it's not. It's color gray. And this stuff here, next to that you see, the employer got this building somehow, I'm gonna tell you, and it's something I did not mention in the audio either. Just as I have not mentioned that his sister is younger than he is, from something to do with the government. It was a big ongoing something about the government. Something had to do, I have no idea what the hell went on. But this was all about Milan Kuchan, about Borut Pahor, this stuff here. They had something to do with it. What exactly they had to do with it, I do not know. I know they expanded the building. I know they added to the building, like this area here. Did you see something like this on the oops, like on the side? It is some kind of an elevator area that they added late, eventually late, that they added, that they would use this so they could go inside of their area, work area. a construction company which became involved in my case. He's gonna tell in a little bit when. He was the first one because of maybe not. Maybe they got involved in this case even more. Gray color building like this in Ljubljana. You see this? Very, very specific, like this, like a container almost, kind of a building.
Mislim, da ste ne vem, koga ste, da ste neki, da ste z nekim privatnikom, da ste delal.
He's a self-employed guy that used to work.
Take bolj zahtevne stvari so bile.
I tell him it was some kind of a more demanding stuff because I had this projektant, engineer, was this self-employed guy. This guy, this owner of this building, more reminded of a lawyer than of the architect or something like this. He always was very well dressed, and I had a difficulty when I saw him each time exactly what the hell I was dealing with. Was I dealing with a lawyer or what? Yeah. I think he also had a brother too, who also dressed sharply like him. I think there were actually two brothers who did this stuff. So this is going to be the third credit. I am pretty damn certain I would actually even apply. I hope I'm going to meet Milos again to see whether he's going to confirm me or not that there was a brother. One of the brothers was an architect, was very well educated, and the other one was not so educated. So I think there was two brothers who started this business, with the possibility of one of the brothers even that departed away from this brother sometimes possibly in year 2002.
Intelektualno bolj zahtevne stvari so bile, ne vem, koga je bilo, tu probam ugotoviti.
Because of this stuff, I'm thinking about that this guy also, because I'm not sure what the hell went on with his building. I'm thinking about what the hell went on inside. This guy was dressed up. That guy also was dressed up. The two brothers, I think, went apart in 2001, to be exact. They definitely were two brothers who started this.
Skoraj da bi rekel, da imate tam nekje.
These two brothers were involved in MK Ultra case already in 1995, before this young man arrived to this location. I think he probably got the job literally through my case.
Dvoletno celo fakulteto, nekaj takega.
I said, you probably even have a 2-year degree. You did complete the high school, I think, and maybe even 2-year degree.
Z inženirjem, med srednjo šolo pa med fakulteto.
I said, you're something between the high school and between the 2-year degree, something like this. Something over high school.
Tisto, kar ste vi delal,
2 years more, basically associates in science would be equal.
je imelo značim za opraviti, pa privatniku ste delal.
Ja, sem ne tako zahtevno delal.
Ja, ampak tisti privatnik, pri katerem ste delal,
I said, you work at this man who was a private man, private company owner, and he said it was not a demanding work. He corrected me. That was not a demanding work. It was not very demanding work.
tisti privatnik je mu neki arhitekturno, ali pogajamo neki.
I told him this man where you used to work had some kind of an architectural business with the architecture. There were two brothers. One of the brothers handled architecture, demanding kind of stuff, and then there was another brother who was doing stuff with the workers, like you would say meister, somebody that would go out on a terrain and would do physical stuff. He would perform physically whatever his other brother would. So this, you're gonna give me a lot of points. I'm looking forward to meet Milos again soon.
On je imel,
Povej, ste bil, koga ste bil, neki stred, neke skice pa to, pa da.
ne, to ne, ker bil pa sem pa eno takem, v bistvu smo imeli mi rušenje zgrad.
What he was doing, this guy, was actually demolition of the buildings. Well, that's a very, very demanding stuff. But this guy was not doing any kind of architectural stuff, nothing like this high tech. He was not involved in any of that. So
Rušenje zgrad.
Ja,
Rušenje zgrad.
ja. In on je bil v bistvu specialist za te stvari, bil sem specialist, on v glavnem te stvari počne.
Rušenje zgorno, ali pogajamo
Ja.
neki gradbeno, koga je bilo?
On je imel,
Povej, ste bil, koga ste bil, neki stred, neke skice.
he told me
ne, to ne,
this
ker
man
bil pa sem
was
pa
an
eno
expert.
v bistvu smo imeli mi rušenje zgrad.
Demolition of the buildings. So this guy was an expert in demolition of the buildings. This guy.
Rušenje zgrad.
Ja,
Rušenje zgrad.
ja. In on je bil v bistvu specialist za te stvari, bil sem specialist, on v glavnem te stvari počne.
Rušenje zgrad.
Pa po...
Jaz se spomnim njegove tovarne. Dobar dan. Aha, živja.
The mother comes. His mother comes.
Vidim, jaz sem bila pri mami malo na obisku.
A pri mami ste v obisku?
Malo so me komaj dol spustili. Je kar v redu, veš. Ja, zdrav kosti, imam se uporabljam.
His mother who came, stated me that she was on a visit to her mother. Okay, this is like this. Very, very important. What you see right here, extremely, extremely important. It was not only the loan that this private company owner obtained, it was also something that took renovation. This building was renovated, part of the building was added. That also took place, and very, very likely this building had something, was associated in the past, maybe even with some kind of a government property or something like this. Even this is how much I think this thing was involved. Talking about the government in issue of this to company owners, two brothers. I don't know what to degree that this stuff was. What exactly happened? Actually, I would have to see the building to know what the hell is going on. The possibility of this stuff here that you see right there, there was some kind of a heavy renovation that went on. I'm just figuring out, because it was first one side of this building. I am just trying to figure out what exactly went on. These people were involved since 1995. It was a renovation. It was definitely complete renovation. I'm not gonna say that they built the whole thing from zero, from scratch. But it definitely was a heavy work that was done, some kind of a renovation, at least part of the building, and then the other part was added, something like this. If this building was erected from zero, so that there was an old building there, and the building was demolished, and then the new building erected, then that will be done the latest in year 99. You understand? If there was an old building here, and the building was actually completely demolished, and then the new building was erected, like you see right here, then that is what took place in latest in 1999, but I don't think that happened. I think it was just renovated and then added also areas to the building. Enlarged, basically, if you like.
Jaz se spomnim še te lokacije, se pravi zgradbe. In ta zgradba je bila, ki je ta privatni.
So I pointed out this was a gray color building.
Je bil tako novejši.
And he confirmed me, yes, it was.
Ki je bila tako novejša zgradba.
This was like a more modern building. It's in my head. It's like a modern building.
To je ena tako hiša, taka zgradba. Tako je bilo.
Yeah, this is not a typical house. This is not a typical house with the roof and stuff like this. Like a modern building.
Koliko je bilo to veliko.
I tell him about the size of this house. How big was this house? This employer we are talking about right now is located in the city of Ljubljana. City of Ljubljana is far away from Novo Mesto. It's about 70-80 kilometers from Novo Mesto and also far away from Gabrovka. So the employer we are talking about is located in Ljubljana city, capital of Slovenia. Now this employer is located even further from Novo Mesto, even further from his place than Novo Mesto. You understand? So now we are talking about the employer. That's the employer I'm talking about, how the building looked like, based somewhere in this city of Ljubljana. That's a city of, I don't know, maybe 300,000 people or something like this, right? That's Ljubljana right here. This here. And well, it's bigger than this, but this is not that you would just go and say, well, you know, la 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 la. There's a lot of buildings here. Let's say maybe 350,000 people, you know. So I'm talking to him about what the building looks like, not only about the color, the size wise, that where he was employed at in Ljubljana. Yeah, so let's go.
Niti ni bilo tako veliko, te bila delavnica, ki bi rekel.
The one who was totally involved in this building not only was Borut Pahor, this now totally social democrats. This lady here, Tanya Fayon, they would go to this man, to this company owner, they would bring me there and so on. They had completely under control. They called themselves an owner of my MK Ultra case. They claimed that they were my owners. They wanted to make me feel like a human slave, like a dog, like an animal, basically. That was the goal. That was actually iceberg. They had no idea about this gonna happen to them. They had no idea about this is gonna be the iceberg that is gonna take them to the bottom of the sea for eternity. They had no fucking idea how much I felt about being Slovenian. They had no fucking idea what Slovenia is. These people had no fucking idea, because in Slovenia people they're not nowhere near as nationally aware as I am. No fucking idea whatsoever.
Tako kot ena hiša je bilo, ne? Ni bilo tako, pa novejše je bilo, ne?
Ja, ampak to je bilo v Ljubljani.
To je bilo v Ljubljani.
Yeah, he tells now this, I tell him that this was like a, it was not big, it was like a house size. It was like a house size. And this, he tells me, it was not a big building, I tell him. This was like a house size, except that this did not look like a house. And he says, yes. But he says, this was in Ljubljana. And I am shocked. I said to myself, fuck. He is from Gabrovka now. This is Novo Mesto. I wasn't even sure. Maybe this was in a Novo Mesto, as I stated earlier. But he tells me this was in Ljubljana. Yeah, this is the way the MK Ultra is. Especially when you go to thousands of locations. So I was correct about his work, type of work, that he was doing construction. Well, he was actually demolishing the building. He was tearing the buildings apart, taking buildings down. So I was correct. That's a construction. Everything right about the building description itself, size of the building, color of the building.
In polju, da se res tole, aha, mislim, če bi mi tole uspelo, se pravi, da ste ga pa pol, tu ste ga pol, če ste ga zamenjali, seveda, ker ste ga morali zamenjati, da se tole spomnim.
I'm trying to figure out.
Tu ste ga pol, pa že zamenjali 2014 pol.
He already told me, I think, that he was there just for like 6 months. That's all there was. And he lost his job in that company because he got into the fight with a company owner. I can tell you that this company owner was a chipstick. He was the cheapest of the cheap. He did pay shit to the people. And he was actually using me. This company owner was using me to cause trouble I am having experiencing difficulties with a computer. It appears to me as if somebody would jam this thing. But it was others that were also employed in this company, and I have to tell you that this company owner was a chipstick. He paid very low wages to the employed people, and people were leaving him because of the cheap wages, and also because of the trouble with social democrats that were involved in this. This was like some kind of a network of bullshit that social democrats have used to brainwash workers on how to, I don't know, how to live in a new independent, supposedly independent Slovenia or something like this. I don't know. I am difficulty finding words for this because it was just not okay. None of the stuff. It could be that I will have to re-record this video. It stalled at 56 minutes, something like that, right there. So it might be a total problem. We gotta see what the issue really is.